Hi there, how are you? This is Lois Gidega. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time to be here, thank you for joining us and please subscribe. If you're a returning fan, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. Today I want to talk about a subject that is highly contentious and controversial. And this is a subject that worries every aspiring immigrant from time to time, especially people who are coming from Africa, people who have not traveled, or people who have had bad experiences elsewhere. So we are talking about racism in Canada. Okay? I realized this because I was talking to a relative of mine who is interested in immigrating, and he asked me, he was really concerned about it. And a lot of people who consult with me, they also ask this question: is there racism in Canada? I do not blame them because they are rightfully concerned. This mostly stems from the things we see on the media, news. And a lot of bad news, the bad vibes, the bad energy that comes from the United States, the intolerance, of different people, police brutality, the killings, and all that targeting. So I know people are rightfully concerned and they have every right to be worried. But I'm here to give my opinion. This is just my opinion and things that I have seen here in Canada. Canada is not like the United States, so that is very clear. The magnitude, the racism magnitude we see in the United States, it's not here. Of course, you know who backs up racism in the US. It's totally different here in Canada. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you there's no racism, because there is. There is racism here, and I believe there's racism in every country of this world. But there is racism, and how I look at racism from my own perspective, and again, this is my opinion. From my perspective, I think racism is not a community issue, especially in this country. It could be a community issue in other countries, but it's not a community issue. It's a personal issue. These are bad people, It's a bad person situation whereby you encounter a bad person. But generally, Canada is very welcoming to immigrants. Canadians are very polite people. They are very, they are dignified people. So the racism that is here is quite hidden. It's not out, people are not very outspoken. Those ones who are, because there are some people who are just intolerant, they are very quiet about it. Of course, there are people who would go out and say something, and that is considered hate. That is usually considered like a hate crime. But those ones are far, they are far in between. It's not something that you're going to encounter on a regular day, on an everyday basis. People are very tolerant, people are very friendly, simply because I think because a lot of people here are immigrants. So I believe, and this is my belief again, Canada is a country of immigrants. Almost everywhere, everybody in this country came from somewhere, except the original Indians. Everybody else, the First Nations, those ones, they belong here. This is their country. Everybody else came from somewhere. Let nobody sit there and tell you, oh, I'm a third generation. It's about generations, but everybody came from somewhere, or your grandfather came from somewhere, or your grandmother came from somewhere. It just depends on what generation of an immigrant you are. But everybody, a lot of people here came from Europe, from Ireland, Britain, all those places. But everybody who is in this country, and that's why I say, if you get into a train, you will see the representation of the world, because there's going to be someone from almost every country in one train car. Yes, you just have to look around and be conscious, because you're going to see Chinese, Indians, Africans, and of course Africans. There's so many countries in Africa. There are people who think that Africa is a country. No, but there's so many people from Sudan, Somalia, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Lesotho, everywhere, right? So yes, so again, racism and discrimination are taken seriously in this country. So it's a crime. You know, there are hate crimes. You can be charged with hate crimes. So I just want to say this. This is my personal story. I have been in this country now 8 years, and no one has called me the N-word to my name. No one actually has come and told me anything like direct attack. I have not received that. However, one day I was coming from college and I was walking downtown Calgary, and I found these two drunk people, and they were quite drunk, and I felt sorry for them. And that lady said things like, go back where you came from. Oh, you came here, you took our jobs, go away, you know, and then she called me all the words. And you know what? I didn't pay attention, because I looked at her and I realized that she was miserable. She was drunk. She was frustrated. There's a lot, you know, there's a lot that is behind that kind of an outcry. So I really felt sorry, and I didn't bother. I didn't bother about it. I just went about my business like she was talking to nobody, because, you know, I do not let things like those get into me. Anyway, not everybody is like me, so I appreciate that some people are going to take that into heart and can escalate that, you know. If you wanna engage these people, you can engage them to your detriment, right? You engage them, you know, they have nothing to lose. You have a lot of dignity to lose. So it's up to you. It's a choice you make. If you want, if someone insults you, it's up to you if you want to take it up. You can even punch them and end up in jail for assault. Anyway, that is just my personal story. The other thing that I have realized, I've said that there's racism, right? And there's discrimination, very hidden. People are very careful. And actually this comes from ignorant people. You know, all the bigotry. This kind of stuff comes from ignorant people, people who have no travel, people who have no appreciation of humanity and human beings, people maybe who are just angry about things, right? And they are rightfully so. They are rightfully angry. I don't know what they're angry about, and it's really not my business to know what they're angry about. So I leave that. But I say this, especially to people who are coming from Africa, and I say Africa at large, and I'll also say people who are coming from my country. Some of the racism and discrimination that we encounter or say that we received, most of it is mental. And even dealing with discrimination and racism, if someone is so not so direct at you, a lot of it could be mental, and we need to check ourselves so much. Like I was saying, I have a relative who was so worried about coming to Canada because of discrimination. And you know, you're going to realize that if you come here with preconceived notions about racism, you're already expecting it. You're worried, you're scared, your self-confidence is down. You know, you have a lot of insecurities. If you come expecting it, you will get it. Let me tell you, the things you think about are the things that you attract. Yes, and I'm saying this with all due respect. If you're looking for discrimination and racism, you will get it, my friend. And this is how you will get it. Everything is going to conspire to be discriminatory to you. Even nature. You know, you're going to be walking and a white bird is going to poop on you. And you're going to say that that bird pooped on you because you're black. So it's those things that we already have. So we need to come here with a very open mind. Come here with an open mind. Expect anything. Hope for the best. Expect anything, right? So do not come with those preconceived notions. Oh, because you had that gory story. Let me tell you, media makes sure that the bad stories travel so fast. And a bad story can travel so fast while a good story is still dressing and putting on eyelashes. Yes, so be very careful of what is out there, what is trending, because that one bad thing that happened to someone could trend all over. But that act of kindness, that person who helped an immigrant, and we have endless of such stories. They don't make it to the limelight. Anyway, that is about your mentality. The other thing is interpretation. Yes, interpretation. What are you interpreting as discrimination, as racism? And unfortunately, a lot of our people, because I know even a few friends, I know people, when someone is asking you, oh, where do you come from? Of course, they see I'm black. Come on, I'm black. There's nothing I can do about it. So someone is going to ask me, oh, where is your beautiful accent from? It's up to me to interpret that any way I want. I have a right to interpret that in any way that I want. I can get offended. Like, why are you asking? You know, people get offended. I see people who get so offended. They're like, why are you asking? I come from Canada. I take that opportunity to tell people, like an educational moment. I'm like, oh, you know what? I come from Kenya. Yes, and Kenya is a beautiful country. Have you traveled? You know, you change the trajectory of that discussion by how you react, by how you interpret things. So be very, very careful about a lot of sensitivities. People have become so sensitive. People can't even ask you about your hair. People are going to be conscious about hair. I know, you know. They're conscious. When I came here, a lot of my colleagues were touching my hair. You know, I could get offended and quit my job. I know some people get offended by that. I didn't get offended. As long as they are approaching you in a respectful way. Again, it's not everybody who is touching my hair. My hair is not, you know, it's not in a museum. But people would be, you know, maybe they've never become so close to a black person and they see you're a nice person. They want to know more about you. They're excited. You change your hair every day. We put extensions. So if someone is asking you about an extension, what's the big deal, right? I also ask them about their highlights and tanning. Oh, they love tanning. So, you know, it depends on how you want to look at things. I'm like, oh my goodness, why are you tanning like this? They're like, oh, because I like tanning. They like our color. People like things they do not have. So it's up to you to interpret things the way you want. So some things I really don't give mind to. So if you want to be offended by everything, you will be offended by everything. I talked about bad news traveling very fast. So just know that there's a lot of good stuff that happen here that you will never know about. Yes, I have met angels in this country. I swear, I think ever since I came here, it's like God had angels in every step of my life. Yes, from getting a job, from bosses, from colleagues, from neighbors. You get wonderful people. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm a stranger. But people are overly kind. People are so good. Why lie? Anyway, another thing that I say, and I tell this to my fellow Kenyans, no offense saying this, but if you're new, and I usually think about it, in Kenya, most of us, we are black people, right? So we look like each other. So there's, you know, you're not worried about, you know, you're not even conscious about how you look. But then we suffer from things called tribalism, colorism. I swear, lighter people, black people, all those in our country that is full of black people, we suffer from that. There's been a lot of misery in post-violence, you know, post-election violence. We get killed by people who look like us, people who speak our language, people, you know, people who are our people, right? We do so bad things to each other. Yes, I want that to sink in you, that we come from a community that does bad things to each other because of things like politics. So while we are doing that, yeah, I'm not saying it's not okay to be worried about racism, but think about it. Think about the magnitude. The racism here does not get to the magnitude of our tribalism, of our colorism. It does not get there. So, I'm not saying do not be offended when people are racist to you, but please also know, you know, I make fun. I tell people, I used to drive in Nairobi, and the many times I was insulted by Makangas. Makangas, you know, you're driving on Lower Kabete Road and a Makanga would just insult you. Unmentionable, unprintable words. People who look like me. They call me all the names. Yes, try asking for change in a matatu in Kenya and someone can insult you, anything. You know what? We never go to KTN or Nation Media or Citizen. Those things never get on the news. But now when we come here, simply because I think we are different, someone talks about our hair, oh, we want to make a press conference about it. So I'm going to leave it there. Even siblings, you know, you're growing up and your siblings, you know, they are going to be bullies everywhere. There are bullies in every community, every country, everywhere, even in families. So just know how to behave around that. At the end of the day, this is what I say as I come to finish this. At the end of the day, if a Chinese person, and good thing is now we have a big Chinese population in Kenya, and I always talk about Kenya because I'm Kenyan. So we have a big growing population of Chinese, and of course we have the expats. But if a white person went into the interiors of Kenya, you get the stares. Come on, you look different. So people are curious, they're looking at you, of course, they're going to stare at you. It's the same thing. We come here, and because of the population, the majority population here is light-skinned, they are brown or they are white. You find that you're going to get a few stares here and there, especially when you come. Now I don't notice anybody. I think nobody pays attention to me. But when I came, because of course I had that consciousness, I thought people were staring at me, people were looking at me. But that is normal human nature, right? That is just human nature, because you're different color, you have different mannerisms, and of course you have an accent. See, haha. Okay. Yeah. And at times I look at the broad perspective, and I wonder if our countries in Africa were as welcoming, if a lot of people were applying to come to Africa, a lot of white people were applying to come to Africa the way we apply to come to these countries, would we be this welcoming? Would we be this comfortable? Because these people, they let us come here, we work, we enjoy everything. They even give us citizenship. Come on, give me a break. We get citizenship. We are allowed freedoms to vote, to do anything, to enjoy everything that was built by people here. You know, the big foundation here was built by the elderly people in this country. And they are welcoming. And we live peaceful lives. We thrive. We buy homes. We invest. We become employers. Yes, we do all that. Would our countries be that welcoming, or would we start a war? So think about it. I'm not trying to castigate anybody here. I'm just trying to open your mind. Open your mind. Be very open-minded. Think. Have that self-awareness. And ask yourself questions. So before you interpret things wrong, look at that person. First, know that person. Because let me tell you, people fear things, and people they do not know or understand. There's always that fear. So say hi, smile. Yes, smile, say hi. Do some small acts of kindness. Get yourself out into the community. Understand people. Help out. Volunteer. Be involved. Integrate. And be a good human being, because at the end of the day, that is what matters. I'm going to leave this here, and all I want to say is make your decision out of knowledge, and it's part of the reason that I'm making these videos, to do some education. Don't make decisions driven by fear, because if we do things driven by fear, we will never leave the house. We will never leave the house. And you know, a lot of people like castigating us. Oh, you guys went abroad and now you're complaining about. We are not complaining. I'm just trying to educate people. If you have a problem with people who left Kenya or wherever they went abroad, you know what? Maybe you should go back to your mom's house. Yes, because everybody has got to live somewhere. We left the village, we came to Nairobi. People leave Nairobi, they go to Mombasa, you know, or they go to Kigali or wherever. So live and be adventurous. Have that free spirit. Be adventurous. If things are good, they are good. If they are bad, it's just another bad day. But I'm not saying that you tolerate discrimination and racism. I'm just trying to say there are various ways that you can look at things. If someone is really discriminatory to you, speak out, report it. Do not fear. Report that, speak out, and fight for yourself. Okay, thank you so much. That's all I'm gonna say today. Keep it here. Thank you for watching. Please share this video. Okay, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.